The backcountry airport I chose is the Saline Valley Chicken Strip Airfield. I first found this airport and I thought it was pretty interesting just because of the name. I thought it was kind of funny. And then after doing a little more research, I found out that this would actually be a pretty cool place to fly into. So let's get into it. The Saline Valley Chicken Strip is located in Death Valley National Park in California. The chicken strip was transferred from BLM land to Death Valley National Park in 1994 as a part of the California Desert Protection Act, along with about 1 million other acres. In this trade, the airport was closed by default, and you needed special authorization to use it. But this was never really enforced, and people were still flying in. On August 19th of 2019, the airstrip was authorized for backcountry use and is maintained by the Recreational Aviation Foundation under the supervision of the National Park Service. The runway is 1,500 feet by 50 feet and is a gravel rock combination. It sits at 1,345 feet, and a note for landing there is that you want to land uphill and take off downhill. There is a windsock there for some more information on the wind in the area, but regardless of which way it's pointing, you're still going to want to land uphill and take off downhill. There are tie downs there that you're allowed to use, and it's maintained by the people that are using it. So if you're going to go and land there, please respect it. Please help keep it in good shape. There is a contact you can call Rick Latch for a strip status update. So if you're going to fly in, you want to know what's going on there, if the condition of the area, you can call him and he'll help you out. So the chicken strip is not listed on FAA sectionals, and there's not really too much technical information on the airport itself. There aren't runway numbers listed to help direct you to land, and really the only help published is to land uphill and take off downhill. The picture on this slide is a screenshot from my ForeFlight of the location based off the coordinates that you can find for it to give you a better idea of where it is. To me, I think it'd be very helpful to fly over the airport and check it out prior to landing. Scott gave this suggestion in one of his videos, and I think it would really apply to landing at this airport. Flying into this airport does come with some hazards that you should be aware of before you go there. The runway is a combination of dirt and gravel as it's in the middle of the desert, which means there could be some big divots or tire tracks in the dirt. This would be good to look for when you fly over to check out the runway before you go into land. The next hazard is extremely high temperatures that you definitely need to plan for. The area is called Death Valley for a reason, and on any given day, it could get well over 100 degrees. I've been there in the winter, and the weather is much more pleasant, so just keep this in mind if you're planning a trip. This weather can also influence the performance of your aircraft, which is another thing to keep in mind. The airport is inside a military operating area, so military aircraft are permitted to fly over 250 knots at altitudes 200 feet above the ground and up. You definitely want to monitor their frequency to be aware of what they're doing on that day. These military aircraft add additional traffic, so there is a possibility of mid-air collision if you're not monitoring their frequency and staying aware of what's going on. The last thing I thought I would share, this isn't really a hazard, but in a few videos I watched about people's trips, they said that there are burros walking around that made it difficult for them to sleep, and they could also be on the runway, so you might want to keep an eye out for them. Like I said, this isn't really a hazard for your flight, but if you're not really an animal person, this could definitely affect your time there. Okay, so why would you want to go to the chicken strip if it's just a dirt strip in the middle of Death Valley? Doesn't really sound that pleasant. About a 7-minute walk from the airstrip are hot springs that, without flying in, it would take about 3 hours by car on a dirt road that you need a 4-wheel drive vehicle to get to. This hot springs oasis was developed in the 60s by nomads, hippies, free spirits, and nudists. This is another hazard I thought I'd mention. If nudists aren't quite your speed, you might not want to consider going there. The oasis has several soaking pools made of concrete, rock, and tile, showers, dishwashing facilities, toilets, shaded grassy areas, koi ponds, and art installations. You can camp under the wing of your plane if you want, but there are also wonderful places to camp at the oasis. It was developed by hippies, so it's all done by the honor rule, so try to leave it nicer than you found it. It's also greatly appreciated if you can leave cleaning supplies for the next group that comes. This area really seems to be an isolated paradise, and it's incredibly beautiful. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed learning about the Saline Valley chicken strip airstrip and the surrounding areas as much as I did. I think it would be really cool to fly there one day, and I hope you guys do too.